Once you've escaped the dragon attack on Helgen and begin your epic adventure across Skyrim, you will be greeted with some magnificent and breathtaking views of Skyrim, and across from us we can see Bleak Falls Barrow. As you begin your journey, you'll be greeted with random wildlife. This fox was murdered in front of me by something I don't know, but we had to fight off a flame Atronach, and we continued our way down the mountain. Now, many players, when they first play Skyrim, might encounter Embershard Mine. Now, for me, this is a location I was not very familiar with. I always just ran past it and never paid much attention to it, but it is perhaps the first location that many Skyrim players ever discovered. Hello everyone, this is the Army of Otters, and welcome to Unexplored Skyrim. Today we're going to be checking out Embershard Mine, along with the surrounding area a little bit, mainly the Guardian Stones. These are both locations that many Skyrim players will be familiar with, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. Now, Embershard Mine is just north of Helgen, and is just below Riverwood, so obviously it's in the very beginning of the game, or at least the beginning of the starting area. As we enter the mine, we'll immediately be encountered with a trap. Be careful because this will cause a lot of rocks in front of us to come crashing down. Quite an ingenious trap on the part of the bandits that now inhabit this mine. Obviously, a lot of Skyrim's mines are no longer in use for whatever reason, and they've been overrun with whatever creatures, or in this case, bandits. But thankfully, bandits are pretty easy to kill. Now, we do have some pretty intricate kind of mechanisms in this mine, as we will see. Now, as we make our way down this mine shaft, we will find a skeleton, a coin purse, and a tattered journal next to it. Now, this tattered journal talks about what we can assume is a former mine worker. He talks about hearing noises in the mine shaft, about the earth shifting above him, and that he's becoming ever more paranoid of a cave-in. He says he might give up drinking because of his paranoia, and we can see that his paranoia was well placed, as he did apparently meet his end because of a cave-in. Now, down below where the bandits were, we can find a small lake, along with a pickaxe and an iron ore vein, and there are 8 iron ore veins in this mine which we can mine. Then over here we can find a lever, and upon activating the lever, we'll find these 2 little bridges come flying down, and they mate perfectly in the middle. Quite the engineering by whoever designed it. Then we have 2 bandits that come running out because they are suspicious, and we can kill them with the help of Raya. Then, as we come into the next part of the mine, we can find this little window where we could take all of the gold if we wanted, but decided to go pick the lock first and see what or why that window is there. I don't really understand the point of that window. It might make sense if there was a bandit there to act as a guard, but there isn't, so it's just kind of there. Inside of this locked room, we can find a chest which contains random loot. It also had a spell tome for me, Clairvoyance. And also on our right, we had another spell tome, Clairvoyance, and then some gold on the table. So I guess I can sell the other spell book since I literally just learned that other spell. Across from that cell, we have another locked area, but there's nothing in here besides a bucket. In Fallout 4, a bucket would be most useful though. As we make our way to the next section of the mine, we are greeted with a very beautiful scene. We have a large waterfall, and then kind of a swinging bridge across the middle of this area, and a very large part of this mine shaft. And at the base of this room, we can find an iron smith, and obviously these bandits are using this smith in order to make weapons, or obviously probably iron weapons, since this seems to be an iron mine. Over here on the table, there are some iron ingots on the workbench, but over here on the table, we can find a smithing book, which will increase your smithing, if you haven't found that book yet, like I already have. Then real quick, I wanted to point out there is a coin purse near the entrance to this section, next to some bed rolls. Then there's a bandit that was trying to shoot me with arrows, but failed miserably. My archery skills are not the best, but they're better than that bandit, so that makes me happy. Then in this kind of tucked away room, we have a table with various jewels and a lot of gold. There was also a chest that contained random loot and some more gold. Gold is always a welcome sight. Here is that large waterfall from earlier, and now the dead, terrible archery bandit. And now there was a platform beneath the waterfall, and I wasn't sure how to get there, so I just jumped off the edge of the cliff and landed on the platform. Picked the lock, found some gold, lock picks, and a portion of stamina. I found out there is an entrance to the platform. I'm just blind It's literally right next to the bridge. After that, we come to the end of the mine, where we can find the back entrance to the mine. This is an unmarked entrance, but you could, in theory, enter through this way if you knew about it and maybe kind of attack the bandits from behind. Here's the location on the minimap. Then if we just head west of Embershard Mine, we can find the Guardian Stones. I'm sure most players are familiar with this location. This is one of the first locations I remember as well that kind of dictates your playthrough of Skyrim. You can choose the Thief Stone, the Mage Stone, or the Warrior Stone, with each stone increasing your skill learning by 20% with skills in those categories. And I think most players are probably familiar with this. It's really at the beginning of the game, but I just wanted to cover all of the locations in the game, so here it is. Now from this location, you get a very beautiful view of Lake Ilinalta, and then the White River as it makes its way towards Riverwood. And that is pretty much all there is to this area, a very early area that many players will discover early on. However, I do think the mine is a bit easy to overlook or to miss. I know I certainly overlooked it until I was trying to get 100 smithing in my previous playthrough. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Unexplored Skyrim. If you have any recommendations or ideas for future videos, please post them in the comments section below. And as always, until next time.